This is going to sound like so much hate, and I swear it's not.
Welcome to the Warner Brothers podcast. My name is Keenan, joined by my brother Kyle, joined by Timmy. Unfortunately, you guys should have gotten a little show going on Wednesday, Thursday time, but little technical difficulties decided that. It was actually a good pod too. We had some great conversation, had some good clips that I was ready to clip, but it is what it is. I guess you always have those technical difficulties. Kyle, how are you? Timmy, how are you on this fine Saturday evening?
I'm doing well. I'm sad that we lost. We didn't even get the clips, did we? Like, we were unable to clip it.
No, we got nothing.
Yeah, no, I'm sad because of that. I'm also sad because I subjected myself to the 20 minutes of Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. I'm kind of sad for our country in general because we treated that shit like the Super Bowl. Like the amount of people that were posting them watching this or having watch parties for it, and the amount of celebrities that sold out AT&T. I'm embarrassed for us as a country. I was telling Brandon Petty earlier, I feel worse as a human being than I did before I watched that fight. So hoping to recover myself tonight with UFC 309. So
this does nothing for Tyson's legacy, correct?
Does nothing for it. It's just embarrassing all around. It's just
okay. That's all I needed to hear. Timmy, how are you?
Also doing pretty solid. I also watched that fight. Biggest letdown in sports I've seen in a long time. This was like the Rams-Patriots Super Bowl, where it was like 10-6 or whatever the score.
13. It was 13-3 because it was the lone Super Bowl the Patriots won by more than one score. Happened to be the most boring one they played in.
It was extremely boring. The Serrano and Taylor fight was better than every other fight in there, no doubt.
That was a great fight.
Very disappointed with the rest of the fighting there.
I thankfully did not even think about tuning into it. I decided to watch De'Aaron Fox go off for 60. The Warriors get a W, and then Wemby versus LeBron and AD. So I got to watch some good basketball. Oh, and shout out to Paige Beckers and Gino Auriemma tying Tara Vanderveer for most wins all time. He'll break that in the next game because they play.
He already tied her.
So. Yeah, he's always been like a few games behind.
Makes
like
sense.
just like he's been always just like a few games behind. So like this was gonna happen this year regardless. So, and he did that against a good North Carolina team that gave him some fits throughout the game. But Paige ended with 29, and she was doing whatever she wants to because she's the best player in the country, bar none.
So she didn't even get to enjoy that record for like a calendar year, did she? Was it last season when she broke it, or the year before?
I think she broke it last year.
Yeah.
I don't think she really got to like enjoy it. It was just like, and Gino's going to run and hide with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's going to run and hide because even if he coaches for 4 years, that's 120 wins. They win like 30 games a year. So he's going to really run and hide with it.
That's true. And Gino's a young, whatever age he is, he's a young that. If he's 65, I don't want to put age on him, but whatever he is, he's young for his age. Keenan, in basketball terms,
he is 70.
Oh, he is 70. Wow,
70.
He's certainly a young 70 then.
Yeah, no, he looks 60, maybe.
Keenan, in basketball terms, that Jake Paul Tyson fight, that would be like if we held a pay-per-view event for Michael Jordan to face Bronny James in one-on-one.
That was what I was talking about. Like I was just mentioning, it was like if. Like, here's the thing. Peak me probably could beat Bird right now. That doesn't mean I'm better than Bird. Like, Bird can't move. Like, it's just he can't move. So, like, it's just, could Bird get a couple buckets on me? Probably 6'8". He's probably like 6'6" now. He's shrunk a bit and probably has a little touch about the basket. But he's not guarding me. He can't move. He's old.
I don't know. If it's winner's ball, if it's winner's ball starts with Larry Bird.
If it's winners, I was going to say winners, he might be able to get something. But here's the thing. I need 2 possessions. Just they do. He can't really move. So, but anyways, there's a better chance of Bird beating me than like really something like that. Like Tyson would have had to finish that in the second round at max. Anything longer than second was going to be done because he just was going to get tired.
Yeah, it was.
Speaking of second round knockout, Austin still got smoke for Kyle, so that's got to happen too.
Someday.
Austin v. Kyle is gonna have to happen, and I'll be there for it. We'll put the card together, but we'll put a nice little card together.
A WBP
we get
card
Joe
would be
DeSasso
insane.
versus Trent on the card. We'll have an MMA boxing mix because there will just be full grappling there, but it will be great.
Could have an Olympic card with
Anyway.
one-on-one versus somebody. We could do get Tim on there doing some shot put versus somebody. Like we could have a little Olympic event type WBP card. Track and field, get some races going, foot races.
Mm-hmm. Well, absolutely. We'll have a 3-point contest too, and just like throw things like out there. But
Joe DeSasso,
right.
Speaking of him, he still owes me a 3-point contest actually from the summer.
He does. So. He does. But we are here. Last week you got Kyle and Timmy giving out picks. This week I get to join them. And we've got a good slate of NFL games, very good slate. We've got some marquee matchups, one at each time slot. For Sunday, we got the 1 o'clock game. We've got Steelers-Ravens. 4 o'clock, we've got Chiefs-Bills. And 8 o'clock, we've got Bengals-Chargers. All three of those games should be wildly entertaining. But the game we're going to start with first could be the biggest blowout of the week, and it's going to be Jacksonville heading to Detroit.
I was going to see if you guys wanted to do the draft again.
Oh, sorry, we can. We can because Jacksonville, Detroit would be last on the list. So like if you want to go with the draft, it's not like I'm for giving anything up. Sure, Timmy, you first pick always.
Ooh. Well, I'm just gonna take Chiefs versus Bills. I think this is an iconic game. I think we always usually get a game. It's usually one score, usually closer to like a field goal game. And something usually happens right at the end of the game to really determine it. So I don't quite think that that's the case here. What I think happens is I think the Bills are going to pull away. Mahomes is going to get the ball to go down and make a game-winning drive, but they're not going to get it. They're not going to get there. I think the Bills win this one 26-18, one-score game.
Yeah, give me the Bills
Kyle,
also 28-24. It's very dependent, honestly, on if the Bills, how healthy their receiving core is. If Cooper's out,
Keon Coleman's missing, and Amari Cooper is, I think, doubtful.
Okay, and I think Dalton Kincaid also is possibly not playing.
Questionable.
So I mean, that's
Cooper said if
right.
Sorry.
Right. So
yeah, he said that if he plays, he's playing with a sling on or a cast, which is a problem if you're a wide receiver.
That is,
yeah, you can do that as a linebacker.
That is very interesting. That would be something I don't think I've ever seen a receiver play with a cast. That could hamper things. Honestly, though, the Bills' defense is still playing well. Josh Allen is obviously playing at an MVP level. So, I mean, and they got it at home, right? And Josh Allen is actually up in the Mahomes-Allen matchup when it's a regular season matchup. Obviously, Mahomes is 3-0 in the postseason. I've said it. God, it's been at least the last 5 weeks, right? Like this is going to be pretty old with how much I'm saying it. But at some point, the Chiefs have to lose. They've got to lose. I mean, they got lucky last week seemingly with that bum rush of a field goal block. I've still never seen anything like that where like 6 players could have blocked it. And this is a great Bills team and it's at home. Bills are very tough to beat at home. Chiefs, again, they're still without a lot of their talent. They're going to be getting healthier 2-3 weeks down the line. It's got to end at some point. And, if you're the Bills, if you get that one loss on the Chiefs, hey, you got a real shot, a better shot at the 1 seed. So this is a very important game for the Bills, not just bragging rights, not just the Mahomes-Allen rivalry. So 28-24 Bills.
I hope you're right, but I got 26-23 Chiefs on a Harrison Butker 48-yard field goal out the gun because
Butker's on IR now.
Oh, is he?
I did not realize.
4 games that he might have surgery on his knee.
Oh, wow.
That's very dependent.
Why did I not hear that or see that?
That's a game changer to their season, Loki. I did not even realize or hear about that. Wonder who they signed or who they have signed.
I think it was the kicker off the Jets practice squad, which is a problem. That's a big problem. The Jets and kickers don't really go well together here. So,
well, now that he's a Chief, he'll probably go like 50
for
50.
some reason.
Like he'll probably never miss.
Now he's a Chief. He'll make like a 52-yarder. It's
That's crazy.
Spencer Schrader. Out of Notre Dame, 6'2", statistics wise, he's kicked 2 field goals in his entire career, one from within 30, one from within 50. His long's 45, hasn't missed a kick in his career. So good for him. Yeah, I'm going to keep it. So now 27-23 Chiefs, and it's going to be on a last-second touchdown by Mahomes. I still think they win this game, but man, that changes everything. There's just a thing about, I feel the Chiefs are going to lose this year, but I feel like they're going to lose a game that they really shouldn't. Like, it's going to just be some random game. Like, it might be the Chargers' second game or just some random one. I do think they probably go like 15-2 or like something around that line, but I think they do lose a couple. But I think you see a big Travis Kelce game. I think you see a Mahomes game where people are really going to be talking about him in the MVP conversation, especially for what the Steelers and Ravens could be, because those are always bloodbaths and disgusting games. So like that could, even if the Ravens win, that could still be a 16-13 Ravens win with Lamar throwing 2 picks. So it could, like, and so statistically it could take them down a little bit. I think we had a big Mahomes Kelce game. 27-23 Kansas City Chiefs. But Harrison Butker being out truly makes a difference. And
Definitely.
Tyler Bass also makes a difference, because you might get the 61-yard field goal for the win, Tyler Bass, or the missed 48-yard field goal, Tyler Bass. So, like, you don't know with him. He's really 50-50. But, Kyle, you choose next.
You go. I was second last time.
Also,
first time back.
I just want to say, Buffalo's favored by 2.5. Mahomes, the last time he's been, like 6 times he's been an underdog, he's won. So, like, kind of crazy in that aspect. He always wins as an underdog. But I'm going to go with the nightcap, actually, and I'm going to go with Bengals at the Chargers. Cincinnati is a 1.5-point underdogs to the Chargers. And in this game, I do have the Bengals in this game, and it's because I don't think that the Chargers can hold the Bengals under 20 as they have every other team. I mean, you get T. Higgins back, you have Jamar Chase. Chase Brown in the backfield's actually been playing pretty well. Mike Gesicki's been showing up that good hands. We saw it in New England a little bit, but he's been even showing out more here and also in Miami. But I've got this game roughly around the same-ish score, honestly. I think it's going to be like a 26-21 victory for the Bengals. I just think also, too, the Chargers are in a position where not that they want to lose, of course, but the loss is something that they can take. For the Bengals, even though technically they could win out and still get it, because that 7th spot in the AFC is going to be interesting, this is a game that you've got to have it, especially because if you want it, you can maybe get to the 6th seed, depending on how the Chargers do, especially with this win, you get a tiebreaker. So I got 26-21 Cincinnati Bengals.
Tim, who you got?
I think the Bengals getting Higgins back here is really going to make all the difference. I think he's been such a crucial point. When he plays, they're a different team, and he makes it an easier game for Jamar Chase. So I think that's going to help them out quite a bit here. I think they're going to win on a game-winning field goal, 23-20. That's how I take it. I did hear something about T. Higgins. He's missed a few games this week, and he's always been doubtful or questionable. They never know if he's going to play or not. Apparently, there was a trainer that works with Higgins, and he says that during practice they have this hill at the facility that Higgins will run up, and this trainer can tell based on how he runs up the hill if he's going to play or not, and he's been like accurate every single week on if he's going to play or not. He says he looks good this week. He's going to play. So that's my hope here, is that he's actually healthy and we don't get a surprise DNP on Sunday.
So random.
It is very random.
That's so Raven.
That's he can tell, like, just like any part, like concussion, arm injury, I can just tell any part of his body how he runs.
He said it's by how aggressive he runs up the hill. Like if he's just dogging it, he knows he's not playing. If he's not looking full, I guess he does this every week, so he knows what a healthy T. Higgins looks like versus a not healthy. So
literally,
we got the go ahead. So, all systems go. Hopefully he plays.
Damn.
That's big time.
T Hill running Higgins. All right. I'm actually
T.
gonna go.
Hilgins.
I'm actually gonna go with the Chargers here. Though the Bengals offense is explosive, this defense is embarrassing. It's downright embarrassing. And look, the Bengals. I know the offense is explosive. I know it's Joe Burrow. I know it's T Higgins. I know it's Jamar Chase. I get it. The teams they've beat: the Browns, the Raiders, the Giants, and the Panthers. I mean, this is everything about them screams like this is not a good team. This is not a playoff worthy team. They lose to all the good teams. They beat only the bad teams, seemingly. And God, like they've lost home games. This game's actually in LA, I believe, but I think they only have one win at home, just that Raiders game. So not much faith in the Bengals. You would like them. I mean, this would normally be a spot where you're like, okay, 1.5 point underdog on the road. Joe Burrow's playing like an MVP. Sure, yeah, take the Bengals. But the Chargers, I mean, they're just so fundamentally sound. I say it every week. Fundamentally sound. Their defense seems to get better as the games go on. Physical, tough. They're going to put you in a position to where you can only throw, which, again, Burrow probably likes that. But the more predictable your offense is, the better that is for the defense. So, and their offense is good enough. We see them getting the ball downfield a little more here week by week. Herbert's only getting healthier week by week. So I'm going to go 24-21 here, Chargers.
All right, Kyle, you.
Guess it's got to be Ravens Steelers. These are the three best games. This game's in Baltimore. Is that correct?
In Pittsburgh.
It's in Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh is a home underdog. I believe that's 1.5 points as well. I think.
It's 3 right now.
Oh, it's 3. It's a full 3.
Mm-hmm.
This game's tough for me because the viewers won't even see this because, I said it in the last podcast, which has since been deleted. It's gone. But if you were to blindly take the underdog in these Ravens-Steelers matchups, specifically the John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin matchups, you win like 80% of the time. Just outright wins. It's insane. So part of me wants to pick a close game here, but everything, when I look at this game, when I think about this game, everything about it screams like a 6-point victory to me for the Ravens. But it seems crazy because that never happens against any opponent when Tomlin, especially, is a home underdog. Like he either covers or outright wins. I can't get there, though. I'll probably end up looking stupid. Maybe the Ravens still win. Maybe they win by 1 point. Steelers cover. But I truly believe it's going to be more in the ilk of 28-22. I think all my scores so far have been very similar, but I think it's going to be 28-22 in that range. Ravens, Steelers. Ravens winning, by the way.
Okay. Timmy, you next.
Also going to take the Ravens here. I think all in all, they've looked like the better team here. The defense of the Steelers is definitely better, but what all comes down to is, will the Steelers be able to actually take advantage of the pass, and will Russ ball out? So I'm going to say 24-17, right in that range. That's my score. So they're definitely covering here, but I totally agree with Kyle. Every time I look at this game, I say 6-point, 7-point win by the Ravens here, which really never happens. That just doesn't happen in these games. These games are usually like 14-10 or something like that. So fingers crossed.
I had messed up writing something down for you guys, so I had to quickly change that. But I actually have Pittsburgh in this game, and I think it's because defensively they are miles ahead of the Ravens, and I think offensively, as the Ravens are a much better offense, the gap between the Ravens offense and the Steelers offense is not as big as the gap between the defenses. I think that Russell Wilson has been playing at a high level, and that defense makes mistakes, especially in the secondary, and I don't believe they have Kyle Hamilton this week, which is going to be a massive miss and a massive loss for them. So without their best player defensively, George Pickens should have a good day. Pat Freiermuth can. And Obviously, Mike Tomlin in this situation coaches very well. So I think regardless, it's going to be a 3-point game. But I have this game being a 22-19 Pittsburgh victory.
My only problem with the Steelers, why I couldn't pick it closer, um, Ravens have the best run defense in the league. Steelers like to run on early downs. So if they're throwing, let's say they do get aggressive on early downs and they're letting Russ truly cook, and you would assume he has success against that defense, then we're getting a shootout. Then we're getting something like a 34-31 type game. And I do think that lends credence to the Ravens more so than the Steelers. But we'll see, especially like you said, Keen, with Kyle Hamilton out, that could be all the Steelers really need. But we'll see. We'll see. It seems like Russ is also due for a drop off at some point. Uh, Not all the way to Broncos drop off, but maybe, at least a pick or two here. So I'm excited for this game, though.
The games go from these three marquee matchups, they fall to just like solid matchups. Unless there's one that you guys feel is marquee here that I don't. But I feel like they fall to just some solid matchups. But I don't think there's bad games. Timmy, what do you think? Next one.
I think there's one that you could argue is a marquee matchup. Seahawks 49ers. I think that's the last best game here. Usually these games are pretty solid to where they hit the over a lot of the times, and they usually set it at like 48 something points. I think the Seahawks have really kind of disappointed me this year. I've said it before. I don't think Geno really has any clutch in him. He seems to get a lot of opportunities to go down and win games, and they just keep coming up short. So what I'm going to say is the 49ers pull ahead with this one pretty convincingly here, and I'm going to pick them 27-16.
This game's giving me the most trouble, honestly. And I agree with Tim. It's pretty close to marquee. It's obviously not as good as the other three matchups, but I'm very much looking forward to it. Definitely will have it on at the same time as Bills Chiefs. This one's giving me trouble, though, because Seahawks are coming off a bye. They're getting Metcalf back. Niners, who played McCaffrey a lot more than I was expecting last week, like they did not baby him at all. He did not look good in the run game, looked better in the passing game. So I was kind of ready to say, like, even if the Niners win, this is going to be a close game. Seahawks are going to be as healthy as they've ever been, especially at the offensive line. Couple weird things, though, with the Seahawks. They released their leading tackler at the beginning of the week. Little weird. But also their starting center retired yesterday, like out of the blue. Connor Williams retired. So I have no idea what to do with that. Obviously, Shanahan, he owned Pete Carroll. And, now it's Mike McDonald. And, I forget the exact score, but Niners handled them in that Thursday night game in Seattle earlier in the year. But now you figure, okay, they're healthier. They get 10 days to plan it, 2 weeks to plan it, actually, with a full bye. Sorry. You would kind of give advantage Seattle here. But with them releasing their starting linebacker, with them having their starting center just retire on a Friday of a game week of a divisional game. And honestly, to me, this is Seattle's season. I truly have no fucking idea what to do with this game. You would still lean Seahawks, but 49ers. But I'm going to go with the Seahawks just for an upset pick. Less confident now that their starting center, again, just decided to retire yesterday. I don't know why he couldn't give it 2 more months, but he's done with it. So let's go 28-26 Seahawks.
Last time these teams played, it was 36-24. Debo did what he wanted to do, and the 49ers did what they wanted to do, and it was on the road. I think at home, it's more of the same. I got the 49ers 30-20. I think the Seahawks team is solid. Getting DK Metcalf back does help, but they also had DK Metcalf last game, and it didn't really make too much of a difference. And you have the addition of Christian McCaffrey for this game. So 30-20 49ers. And it is me next. And we're going to go with the Packers going to Chicago. And that is a 5.5 point spread in favor of the Green Bay Packers. Right now, obviously, it's going to be interesting this week to see what the Bears offense looks like, to see if they get the ball out of Caleb's hands quicker, if he makes the better decisions. But regardless of if he makes better decisions or not, I know the Bears defense has been good all year. I think the Packers are just a clear better team by a decent margin. And I've got the Packers in this game 27-20. I think it's going to be Matt LaFleur calling up great plays. Jordan Love might throw one to the other team, but I think Caleb might just not throw one in the end zone. He hasn't seen the end zone with a pass in 4 weeks. So I am taking the Packers 27-20.
I kind of echo a lot of what you said. I think the Packers are definitely a better team here all around. The Bears defense has played pretty well against the pass, but against the run, you can definitely run on them. And with LaFleur having the bye last week, I think he's going to come out and run a lot, and I think they're going to succeed at it. I think they're going to score 3 times on the ground alone. I think they're going to win 30-19. I do think the Bears' offense will look a little bit more competent this week, but I don't think it's enough to beat the Packers.
Yeah, a lot of factors in this game. So we know Shane Waldron was fired for the Bears, so maybe they look a little more competent, like Tim said. Jordan Love did not move well last time we saw him. Now they've had a bye week since then. Maybe he's a little more healthy. It's always hard to tell with groins. I don't think groins really heal that quickly, but he should be at least more mobile. I still think the Bears are up there with one of the dumbest teams in the league. So I actually think this is going to be low scoring. I do think the Packers win. I'm going to say 21-12. I think the defense is going to give them some problems. Green Bay, that is. Chicago's going to give Green Bay some problems. And then just don't really have confidence in this offense at all. The Packers defense can at least turn you over. And I think that's the case with Caleb, especially this is their first game, right? This is their first divisional matchup, or do they play week 4?
This is their first.
This is their first
divisional match.
I think it was Lions. Yeah. It was either Lions Bears or Vikings Bears that played week 4 then. Packers. Ugly
it was Lions,
game.
Packers.
Yeah. Ugly game. Jordan Love does enough, but I don't think it's going to be a shootout by any means.
The Bears low-key have that same situation where the Steelers have. Like, they're about to go on a run of a lot of divisional games right now. So it is going to be a tough 6 to 8 weeks for them right now.
Yep. Kyle, you're next.
I'm going to go with Falcons at Broncos. Another extremely intriguing matchup for me. Contrast in styles right here. You got I've called them before the Temu Steelers. But now the Steelers are like a run and gun team. So maybe the Temu Chargers, the Broncos are. So we have a team like that going against Atlanta, who's going into Denver, which is notoriously a tough place to play, no matter the team, whether the Broncos have a bad team or not. Now they've got a good defense. Now they like to run the ball. Bo Nix has been taking care of the ball very well, very game manager-like. I think the Broncos come out of here with a win. I think this is going to be a rough Sunday for Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta offense. I see a 23-18 Broncos with Kirk throwing an interception on the last drive.
Kyle, we've been getting really, really close with these scores a lot of the times when we pick these games. I'm also rolling with the Broncos here. Everything you just said, I think defensively, they're going to kind of control this game. I'm taking it 26-18, a little bit more faith, or 24-18. I'm sorry, I read the wrong one. A little bit more faith in the Broncos, just because the Falcons' defense really hasn't showed us anything all year long. So
weak defense.
I think at home, I think they're going to come out, play really well on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, and if this game was in Atlanta, I'd probably pick it like 35-21 Atlanta. Like I really would, but it's hard for me to envision this offense doing well in Denver with the altitude. Might be a little colder even. I don't know what the weather's like in Denver right now, but it just seems far-fetched for Kirk and the boys to go in there. Kirko and the boys, I should say, to go in there and win. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a great game, though, overall.
It is 50 degrees and sunny in Denver tomorrow for game time. I actually have the Falcons in this game. I really like the way they've been using Bijan because they've been using Bijan and it's working out. It's really odd. Use your best player on offense. Really the best player on your team, and it really goes either that or Jesse Bates. But the Falcons have not been able to get to the quarterback, and that's been one of the things. So Bo Nix should have some time. I do think that both of these teams are actually going to put up a little bit more points than you would want to suggest. I have this game 27-24 Falcons. The over is a 44.5. I think it does hit the over on this one. Bo Nix and that offense should be able to move, but I also think Kirk Cousins coming off a bad game, I think that he's got something to play for. So I've got the Falcons in this one. And Timmy back to the top.
Ooh, totally was not expecting it to be my turn. I don't know why. Not a fan of any of these games. I'm going to take the Raiders-Dolphins game. I think that this is an important game for the Dolphins because they need to pretty much win out to make the playoffs. And this is a team that they should beat. They're at home, 7-point favorites. I feel like the Raiders are always 7-point underdogs no matter what team they play. It just seems to be what they give them. I think they're going to cover here. I got the Dolphins winning 26-18.
You love team scoring 18 this week.
Yeah, I'm seeing that.
Every team
just
scoring
seeing 18.
Every team in every game, or one team in each game scoring 18. This game's in Miami.
Every team scoring 18.
Yeah, all 18 ties. I'm going to go. I have no respect for the Raiders. I know this was Tim's team in the preseason, but this team's just I don't know, man. They're weird. I'm going to go 40-17 Miami Dolphins as they try to make a run here at the postseason, try to grab that last wild card spot. I believe they got the Pats next. So they're going to be favored in these next two games before it gets a little more tough. I said this Wednesday, the now deleted scene version. Maybe we'll recover it one day and we'll put it out on a Patreon someday if that was possible. But this team's tough. They have been way more tough, way better against the run. Sunday's game or Monday's game against the Rams. I would have envisioned that being a shootout, and it was kind of a knockdown, drag out game. They made life tough for the Rams. So this team's a lot tougher than I ever imagined. You got to wonder what their record would have been had Tua not missed all that time. But I really do think they're going to make a run here. We'll talk about the Pats, Dolphins, obviously, next week. But if they can win these next two games, they're right back in the mix. So 40-17 once again.
I'm more leaning towards the Kyle side than the Timmy side. I don't know why I wrote down the Raiders for Timmy to win. Maybe because he's just the Raiders guy, but that's not happening. I'm leaning more towards the Kyle side than I am the Timmy side on the score wise, and it's because Miami just needs a game. They need one of those we are here games, and I think Mike McDonald knows that. I think Tua knows that. I know Tyreek's dealing with a hand injury, but all these people, I think everybody on this team, I don't think it's going to get to Broncos level last year when they put up 70, but I do think that I do have it 38 to I'm going to go 38-20, and I think the 20 is me being generous, honestly. But I just think that Miami's in for
it's still Minshew,
one
right?
of those ones where they don't. What?
Still Minshew, right? Aiden O'Connell's not going to be in for a little while, right? Mm-hmm. 20 is a little generous.
Yeah, 20 is generous. I'm honestly, yeah, you're right. 14. I don't need 20. They don't need to get to 13 because I don't think they're getting 2 touchdowns.
One of these days, if we can get the right matchup, I would love to pick a 38-2 game. It was the Chargers, and who was it a few weeks ago where it was 3-2 and then it got to 5-2 or 5-3. It was my dream game for a little while, and I think it turned into a normal score. I think it was Chargers Titans actually.
But this is just one of those games where I think you could see 3 touchdowns from Tua, Achane going off, even a Raheem Mostert touchdown, Tyreek Hill over 100. I just feel like this is one of those games where Mike McDonald's not letting off the gas even in the 4th, and they're just going to keep rolling over the Raiders. They need one of them to get that mojo back, especially because this Patriots defense has been playing pretty well. And I think that that's going to be a tougher game than we would have thought in September. And speaking of, I'm just going to go with the Rams going to.
Can I give you a fun fact first?
Next.
Real quick fun fact, because you mentioned Tyreek going over 100. Tyreek's only gone over 100 in games he's been arrested this year before the game. So, fun fact there.
That's insane.
Also, just learned that his wrist injury, he is saying that it is pretty much in part to that arrest. He said that he had heard it a little bit in preseason or in training camp, but then the arrest, when he got thrown down, I guess he hurt his wrist even worse, and now it's just been lingering all season long.
He's got to sue Miami PD.
Yeah. But speaking of the Patriots, as Kyle mentioned, they see the Dolphins next week. I'm actually going with the Rams, seeing the Patriots this week. The Patriots are 4.5-point underdogs. I think this is a sneaky game that the Patriots are going to be able to compete in. You've got the Rams played on Monday night, going cross country to go play against New England. Body's not on the same time clock, but I do think that the Rams know that they need this game 100%, and they're going to come out regardless of whatever different body ailments or whether they're professionals, and you've got a professional coach with a professional quarterback. Puka or Cooper Kupp's going to be taken out of this game, but there are two of them, which is good. So as long as Puka's not trying to punch people, they should be okay. I've got this score 23-20 Rams in a kind of a knockout, drag-out game a little bit, but the Rams get it done in the end with their veteran presence.
I kind of see it the same. This game worries me from a Rams perspective because of what Keenan said. The West Coast team going all the way to the East Coast for a 1 o'clock game. Always weird. Always seem like weird games. This Patriots team is so fucking weird if we're talking about weird, by the way, because, yeah, they seem to win these games like the Bears last week. They seem to be in these games, but then they go and lose to the Titans the week before that. The offensive line isn't great. Drake May seems to make plays happen. The defense, you don't really know what you're getting week to week. And you still seem to get these dumb penalties. So they do stuff that's like hallmarks of bad teams. And then they still find ways to be competitive in these games. I really don't know what to make of them, honest to God. I do see it the way Keenan sees it. I do see a close game for the Rams. But I could also see it being a 24-14 game for the Rams. So very weird, very weird. I'm actually going to settle. I'm going to go somewhere in between with that. I'm going to go 24-17. Give me the Rams. And I don't know. You could tell me almost any outcome of this game because of the whole West Coast, East Coast thing, because of the Patriots just being a random-ass team each week. You'd tell me any outcome.
We got a clean sweep on the Rams here. I'm also taking the Rams. I think at the end of the day, Rams are just a better football team. They don't have a rookie QB playing for them or a rookie head coach. So I'm going to take it 20-15. Originally, I had it 20-17. I do think it is going to be a sneaky close game where it's just really competitive down to the last drive that really settles the game. So, but eventually I got the Rams coming out on top.
Okay. And Kyle, your game.
There's a couple games here where it's like there's no real stakes, but it could be exciting. One game in particular, I mean, that got moved from Sunday night that like once upon a time could have stakes. But I'm actually going to go with the Browns and Saints here. This should be exciting. They got what's his name? Rizzi as their coach, who's just like full of energy. He's become my favorite coach already in the league. Hopefully that's not just an interim thing. But we got Jameis going back to the Bayou, right? We got Jameis off a bye, had a bad game last time we seen him. First game, obviously, he had that upset of the Ravens. He's due for some wild shit to happen. He's due for a 5-touchdown, 3-pick game. But in all seriousness, Nick Chubb, this should be the first week we really like see an impact performance from him. This is a weird game where you got the Browns rank like all the way at the bottom in offense for everything. For like every important metric, Browns are at the bottom. Every important defensive metric, the Saints are at the bottom. So something's got to give here. Either we're going to get a super low-scoring game, which I don't expect, or a super high-scoring game. I'm going to go 34-27 Browns over the Saints. Jameis making his MVP case, so to speak. Yeah, it's going to be a wild game. It's going to be a wild game. There's going to be nothing normal is going to happen in this game. I'll tell you that. You might get an extra point block for a touchdown extra point block for a 1-point conversion the other way. I see it being one of those type games.
A 1-point conversion. Timmy, you go.
I think we are going to get a defensive battle here. When teams fire their coach the next week, they're typically better. I'm pretty sure it's like a 75% win rate on the next week. They get that boost of morale with a new coach and everything. The week after that, they seem to fall off, is how it goes. So I think we're going to get a defensive battle here. I agree with Kyle. I think we will get a vintage Jameis game where it's 4 touchdowns and 2 picks or whatever, but they score 30 points. I think we're more likely to get a 3-pick game from Jameis on Sunday, so I'm taking it all the way down 17-10. They do score enough to win here, and they cover by a landslide, but I just don't think either team's going to get the offense rolling in this one.
Kyle, what was your score?
34-27.
You guys both have Cleveland. I've got Cleveland in the clean sweep, and I'm in the middle. So I think that it's going to be a lot of yards, but maybe not a lot of points because both teams are going to make mistakes. So I think it could be a fun game to watch because you've got Jameis airing it out to Tillman up the sideline, and then I could see Jameis trying to hit Njoku in the slot and just throw a pick. Or something like along those lines where he does those kind of things, but it could be a fun, entertaining game. But I could see upwards of 4 turnovers in this game, but for both teams together. But I've got this game being a sloppy but fun 25-22 game, Cleveland winning it. I do, Kyle, I agree with you too. I do think Nick Chubb has his first truly impactful game. I think he could get upwards to close to 100 this week, finally getting back. I know obviously really next year is when he's going to have true Nick Chubb impact again because he's coming off of a serious leg injury, but I think this week could be one of those weeks where we see the remnants of Nick Chubb coming back.
Look out for a Jameis Winston receiving touchdown in this game. So just something like that's going to happen. Like there's nothing.
They saw the Bo Nix receiving touchdown. They're like, we're going to do that exact play.
It would be totally like Jameis, though, to like have a wide open one and he just drops it or something, just trips and falls at the one, and that's Jameis to me. It's like you don't know which one you're getting.
I could see them running it twice and him having like a nice toe tap and then just like missing an open one, just like one of those stupid things where they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna go back to the well on this one. We liked what we had before," and Jameis just misses the open.
Gets blown up like it's not even a good play call at that point.
Jameis, my brother's keeper.
Is it my pick?
Winston.
It is your pick.
I think with the rest of these games, there's one game that I think will be a little bit more competitive, whereas I could see either team winning, and then all the other games is just like one good team versus one bad team type deal. So I'm going to stick with the Colts-Jets game. I think these teams are pretty evenly matched here, and I think it really is a must-win for both of them. I honestly don't think either one of them makes the playoffs the way they've been playing. The Jets are 4-point favorites, which kind of confused me. It is in New York. That makes sense, I guess. And the Colts are rolling with Anthony Richardson. The thing with Anthony Richardson, the first game of the season, he balled out. They played really well. He was connecting on deep balls. He gets a couple weeks off, and now he comes back. Maybe we see that again. I'm picking the Colts to win this game 16-13. I think we see some flashes from Anthony, and I think it's enough to win the game, the way the Jets have been playing specifically.
What you got, Keenan?
Kyle, you can go. Oh, you want me to go? Okay.
Sure, yeah.
I think that the Colts are going to run all over the Jets. I see another big game from Jonathan. I think Jonathan Taylor is probably going to go upwards of 100. Maybe a touchdown, maybe 2. I don't think the Jets are great. 20-17 Indianapolis. I don't really have too much on this game. One thing I do think is I think Anthony Richardson could have kind of what the Bryce Young effect was, where Bryce Young obviously played early in the season, sat down, and then now he's coming back in and knows kind of that he's got to play better if he's going to keep a job kind of thing. So I could see Anthony Richardson playing a little bit cleaner, but I still think he's a 10-year-old playing Madden. I just think that every now and again, 10-year-olds playing Madden have a really good game. So like it could happen, but he's truly a 10-year-old playing Madden.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be cleaner, but I do think they're at least gonna like take the leash off him a little bit. So he's on my fantasy team, and he does not run nearly as much as you'd think. Like they do not put him in running situations. And at this point, they did the whole Flacco experiment for 2 games. They're still technically in the playoff picture. Like they need this game. So I think Richardson, I think he is going to ball out. Like I think it is going to be his first week since week 1 where he actually does something. And it's funny. I mean, if you would have told us that the season's going the way it is, we all would have said, okay, this offense probably isn't clicking. Defense is doing their end. It's really been the opposite. Offense has been at least average, probably slightly above average, especially since the Devontae trade. And this defense has been garbage. This defense is charm and soft. It's embarrassing, really, with all the talent they have. So, yeah, I see it the same way. I see Jonathan Taylor running all over him. I see Anthony Richardson having a big game. And then who knows, maybe a Rodgers pick to end it. I'm just super interested to see like if Rodgers really finishes out this year, if a fake injury happens. I personally believe he will be playing somewhere else next year. That's what else y'all missed. In the last episode, I floated my dream scenario, which is, and we'll talk about this team very soon, but I'm praying for a Dak Prescott, for Aaron Rodgers trade, for the Bill Belichick coached Dallas Cowboys, for the Kings of Content Dallas Cowboys. I think that would be just an amazing offseason. That would check every box for everybody. It would be must-see TV each week. Jerry Jones post-game press conferences about Aaron Rodgers, about Bill. It just checks every box, really does. So that's my hope. That's my
prayers. As long as they get Ashton Gianti.
What's up?
Which is that. As long as they get back Ashton Gianti, he's out of Boise State. I don't know if you've seen his season, Kyle, because I know you don't really watch college football. One of the most insane seasons I've ever seen. There are 2, 4, 6, 8. There are 9 games in. Can you just take a guess of how many rushing yards he has in 9 games?
21-48.
Oh, a little high, but 17, 34, and 23 touchdowns.
21-48 would be like 400 yards over the pace for the NCAA record, by the way. That would be insane if that's how much he had.
Like, hold on just a second. This will take just 2 seconds. He's averaging 192 rushing yards a game.
Jesus Christ.
And about 2.5 touchdowns a game.
That's
this guy's
like
going top 10, probably.
That's like Derrick Henry high school numbers right there. I actually did not.
Legitimately, like, go on, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say I did not give my score. I'll go 30-17 Colts.
No, sorry.
But yeah, get them that Boise State running back. Get the Jets, or sorry, get the Cowboys. Aaron Rodgers, Bill Belichick. I really do feel like we'll be talking about where is Aaron Rodgers going to play next year, come January, come February, come off season, all that, because there's no way he's back in the Jets uniform unless they get some sort of, amazing coaching hire, which, the Jets are the Jets. They can't do anything right.
So I decided actually to switch my score from 20-17 to 24-17 because I do think Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor are going to have some pretty decent games. I think Anthony Richardson could 200 yards passing touchdown, 60 yards rushing touchdown kind of game. And then I think Jonathan Taylor's over 100 in touchdown. I could see 350 total yards, 400 close to for this team against this Jets team. I don't think they're good. I like Detroit. We're going to go with this Detroit game. They're seeing Jacksonville. They're seeing the Mac Jones-led Jacksonville Jaguars. 13.5 point spread. I think they cover. I got this game 35-17. This feels like one of those get-back games for Jared Goff where he's not going to throw it all over the lot, but I could see 16 of 17, 194, 2 touchdowns, and then Gibbs and Montgomery could almost go for 100 all-purpose or 100 scrimmage yards apiece with a touchdown. So I think that they're just going to run this game and maybe let a touchdown up late. 35-17, Detroit Lions.
This game is giving me flashbacks of Detroit versus Tennessee earlier in the year, where Detroit just dominated like all three sides of the ball. And they just scored a ton where the stats sheets didn't look correct. They scored 52, and Jared Goff had like 80 passing yards or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that could be a realistic thing where, the Jags defense is way worse than the Titans, and I think they can just easily run away with this. I don't think it'll be that bad, but I do think they cover, which is crazy when you give somebody damn near 2 touchdowns for a spread.
Especially in the NFL. In college football, you
Exactly.
can give 31. I would say Alabama was 41.5 today, and they covered.
Jesus
So you just get things like that. I mean, they also played Mercer. So
What are they
like,
doing
it
playing
wasn't
a
like it
team
was
like
game.
Mercer this late in the season?
I
That should
don't
be like a
know,
week
Kyle.
1
I
or 2
truly
game in
don't
college
know.
football, let alone a November game.
No, like Alabama loves to sprinkle in, like right in the SEC part of their season, they love to sprinkle in one get right game where it's like, yep, we're just gonna blow this team
Burst.
out and rest up before we play someone next week. They love to do that.
I mean, it's smart. They get basically a bye. Like, they don't have to start their guys. Obviously, they do start their guys, but the second half, a lot of these guys don't play. So it is like a strategic buy to have a team like that. It is questionable for competitiveness, especially because right now they have 2 losses. 3 losses, I guess. I don't know. I don't remember. 2 or 3. Back to
2.
this game. I think they cover. I'm going to take the Lions 31-13. I think defensively we get a pretty damn good game from the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, I don't know. I could see a world where this game is competitive, slightly competitive. I actually have the Lions still covering. It's going to be 40-25. I think it's going to be just a fun, highlight-filled game. The Jags at the end of the day still have talent. The Jags at the end of the day, like Mac Jones isn't really a bum. Like, I still don't think Mac Jones is a bum. Like, I still think Mac Jones is going to have another moment here in the NFL, whether it's with the Jags or somewhere else. One thing that caught my eye in that who they played last week. I forget who the fuck the Jags played last week.
Vikings.
Yeah, and like 12-7 or whatever.
That was a super weird game because the Vikings controlled the ball and just could not score. But Mac Jones, there was a play like I don't know if he threw a pick in the end zone or they just didn't convert, but he came off like screaming at his team, like wanted to win, screaming. And I'm like, that's exactly what's missing from Trevor Lawrence. Like, you never see that from Bill Lawrence, right? Like, we saw it from Mac, we see it from the backup quarterback, but we don't see it from William. So yeah, that's another moment lost in the shuffle was we decided forget if we decided on William or Bill on Wednesday. What did we decide?
Oh, he's William right now because he didn't play bad enough to be Bill because Bill's Bill.
It's close.
But he played bad enough to be Willie.
Willie Lawrence.
Hey, Willie Lawrence.
That sounds like a Jacksonville country boy right there. Willie Lawrence. Oh shit. Yeah, Willie Lawrence. Yeah, we're going with that. But no, for real, like guys, when you see that from your backup quarterback and it's eye-catching because you don't see it from your starting quarterback who had lofty expectations, it says something. It says something.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know when Trev will be back. William. I don't know where he'll be back, but I don't know. I think we see a little bit of ball movement from Mac. I think we see some touchdowns. But ultimately, yeah, Lions get it done. 40-25.
40-25. And Kyle, it's on you.
Give me the Battle of Texas, which once upon a time would have been a fun game. Maybe it still will be a fun game, honestly. No reason why the Cowboys can't be competitive. Texans, given their roster, are still kind of a boring team to watch, though we saw an absolutely insane game. Still not sure what happened last Sunday with the Lions. Lions had no business winning that game. They win by 3. Texans could not score in the second half. I'm actually going to go 21-18 Texans. I think the Cowboys actually compete in this game.
Okay. 21-18 Houston. Timmy, you.
I was thinking about taking a similar score to that, but Nico Collins should be back in this game, which to me unlocks the Texans offense. I'm taking it 26-16. I think they get a decently convincing win. I think the Cowboys defense will come to play for the first half of the game, but the second half is just going to be downhill for them. So I think the Texans here are the better team, especially without Dak. And the Cowboys are still kind of banged up in places. They're not all healthy. They got guys playing that are still dinged up.
So I have this not the exact same, but I have it like a semi-similar like mindset to the Raiders versus the Dolphins, where the Texans obviously aren't in the Dolphins situation to where like they're in jeopardy of missing the playoffs. They look like they should be winning the division. Obviously, they could be jockeying depending on what happens with the Ravens, the Steelers, the Bills. Maybe they're jockeying for that third to second seed. I think they're going to probably sit in the fourth. But I do think that this is going to be a game where they need to kind of get the offense right. I could see them taking some shots. The thing about CJ last year that really made him pop is like, oh my goodness, this guy is one of the next elite quarterbacks, was he was willing to push the ball down the field, but also taking care of it. I know he only had, I think, 23 touchdowns to 5 picks, but he had the most yards like per game in the league last year, and he did miss a couple games too. And he was getting it downfield to Tank Dell before he broke his leg. He was really getting it downfield to Nico Collins. And this year, it seems like Joe Mixon makes the offense go, and then Nico unlocks another level to it, as Timmy was saying. I agree with that. I think it's a 30-17 win for Houston. I think Dallas plays a good first quarter and a half, and then Houston just shows why they're clearly a better team as of right now. And Timmy, real quick, what was your Detroit game score? I know you obviously have Detroit winning, but what was the score?
31-13.
31-13. Thank you. And that was Kyle's choice, and I think
We only got one game left. It's a great one.
We got one game left, and it's Minnesota versus Tennessee. Timmy, you can start on this, but that is a 5.5 point spread favored by the Titans. Favored by the Vikings.
I think the spread is too high. I think that the way Sam Darnold played last week, the big reason why they couldn't score is because he threw 3 picks, and they were all in when they could have scored points. They could have had points on the board. If Sam Darnold is pumpkining and he's about to turn into a bust, the way he did like 3 years ago with Carolina, he started out the season pretty hot, and then he just, took a turn. If that's the case, this is not going to be a pretty football game. And I think that is the case. So I'm taking the Titans here, 17-16.
Ooh, I love it.
I see where you're going. I personally hate this game. This is my least favorite game of the day. I will not watch one single second of this game unless it comes via red zone. The Brown Saints is going to get more run than this game on my TVs tomorrow. Like, I'm not going to watch a single second of this game. Cannot emphasize how much I hate it. And that's mainly because, like Tim said, Sam Darnold, he's turning back into the Sam Darnold we know and love. The Sam Darnold that has talent, Sam Darnold that moves the ball, but maybe does not complete drives the way he was the beginning of the season, first 6 weeks. Then on the other side, you've got Will Levis. You've got a good you've got a good defense, but Will Levis is just, he might as well be Sam Darnold. But even worse. We've seen the back-breaking plays, literally, that Will Levis has had. This is going to be a listless game. I see it going, honestly, a lot like the Jaguars-Vikings game from last week. I got the Vikings winning 23-9.
This game has 2 ways it can go to me. Ugly, shootout. One of the 2. Because Will Levis randomly has shootout in him. Like every now and again, last week he had 2 touchdowns, 0 picks, only 175 yards. But we remember his first game where he threw for 4 touchdowns. D-Hop looked like it was Houston D-Hop again, or Kansas City D-Hop, the way he's looking now with Mahomes. But so Will Levis has that in him. Will Levis also has, I'm going to throw you 3. And Sam Darnold right now, we've seen the offense humming early in the season. They beat the Texans 34-7. Aaron Jones running crazy. They got Hawkinson back. You've got Addison. You've got Justin Jefferson. But then you got the games like last week where Sam Darnold's throwing you 3. I'm gonna go on the lesser side of it. I do think it's gonna be one of the more defensive games. You're gonna see great Brian Flores, and you're gonna see that great passing defense that the Titans have. I think this is gonna be one of the 15-11. 15-11. I've got the Vikings winning it though.
It's a great game.
11 is diabolical.
Yeah, listen. I actually, you know what? 15's a little bit. I'm going to go 16-11. 16-11. Tennessee covers, but Minnesota wins the game. In just one of the ugly, like, I don't really care about the games. Oh, also, just want to let you know, Timmy, that Tennessee's up 7 or 6-0. Probably going to make it 7.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear too. I need this game to be low scoring though. Like I need that to just be the touchdown. But yeah. So good. We have only a few games, like the easy ones. Of course, like Detroit, none of us are picking the Jags. That's crazy. But like in all the marquee games, none of us have like all 3 landslide. Like Kyle has, or I have KC. Kyle has the Chargers. I have Pittsburgh. Kyle has Seattle. For difference, I have Atlanta. Seems like me and Kyle sometimes will flip flop, but Timmy's on the 2 side of things. So it's going to be interesting to see, other than this last game, Timmy does have the Tennessee Titans. But it's going to be interesting to see what's going on this coming week. Does anybody have a Monday morning headline of what we think we're going to be talking about on Monday, Tuesday of next week?
I think Doug Peterson's gone. I don't think he can keep his job if the game's going to go the way it's going to go. I think he probably should have been gone 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I think this is just going to be, the nail in the coffin. If they win by 30, it's game over.
Okay.
Monday morning headline? Depends where this headline runs, Depends on what website, because we could get real dramatic with it, or we could get I don't know. I mean, I do see the Bills winning, so something centered around that. So maybe the Bills are the team to beat in the AFC. Maybe if they oust the Chiefs, right? Maybe we're talking about Josh Allen MVP, depending on how.
Oh, if they beat the Chiefs, he might be 1, depending on like how the Ravens Steelers game goes, because like Lamar could throw 2 picks in that game and look bad. Like that's very much on the table because of that Baltimore Pittsburgh kind of games. Like and then also Lamar could be Lamar how he's been this season. 2 touchdowns, no picks, playing great football. Like that's also on the board. Mine is going to be in odds favorites to win MVP. Mahomes is going to overtake Lamar, and Mahomes is going to be the
What's his stat line?
I think that Mahomes has got 270, 2 touchdowns, no picks, signature play running the ball. Like a 25-yard scramble to where he has a play, and then I think he does leave a late game touchdown drive. And then you've got the Chiefs undefeated in a situation where they beat the Ravens, they beat the Bengals, they beat the Bills, they beat the Chargers, they've beat the 49ers. Like they've beat every great team that we have, and like pretty much every great team that we have in the league. Obviously, they haven't seen a few, but I think he's then in a situation where he's 1, Lamar's 2, Saquon 3.
Interesting, Saquon.
Thanks.
Okay.
The way Saquon's been playing, he's really unlocked like a new aspect of that team. It's the same way Derrick Henry's kind of unlocked that. That's an aspect of that team. Like Saquon is the finisher. Like second half, he just gets going, and it's nice to see the burst again. Like you obviously saw it coming out of Penn State in that first year when he was 2,000, I think, all scrimmage yards. But it started to go down a little bit. He was getting injured against that line. He wasn't able, behind the Giants line, he wasn't really able to get going because he'd literally get hit at the 1 or 2 yards past the line of scrimmage. But now that he's getting lanes and he can just hit the hole, he's looking all bit of 4-3 again. Like he's looking Penn State-ish again. And it's really fun to see because he really is are one of the most, if not the most talented back in the league, and arguably one of the most dynamic players with the football in the entire league.
I don't know if I could have him that high hypothetically because of the season Derrick Henry's having. I think he's been the best back in the league so far. So I would hypothetically in MVP voting, I guess I'd have Derrick Henry ahead of Saquon. But Saquon's definitely had a
It's
great
close.
year. But Derrick
Also,
Henry,
a fun stat. Go on, sorry.
I was going to say, if Derrick Henry, God forbid, not wishing this, but if he were injured for the season tomorrow, let's say even just the regular season, like he's got a Pro Bowl season right now, just his stats right now. Like
Oh yeah.
So what were you going to say though?
So Saquon Barkley has 8 rushing touchdowns, and he has, I believe, 2 receiving touchdowns. Yes, 2 receiving touchdowns. So he has 10 on the year. 9 times this season, he's ran the ball down to the 1-yard line, and 8 times they've ran obviously the tush push or the brotherly shove, whatever you want, and he's gotten the ball 1 time and he didn't score on that play. That could be at least 5 or 6 more touchdowns to where he has like 14 rushing
For
touchdowns.
real.
Not that should make or break anything. It's just an interesting fact of like, if they wasn't on the Eagle, or if like Jalen Hurts wasn't maybe the quarterback and it was only like whatnot, like he could be having like not a historic season, but he could be having more of an eye-popping season. I know he has 8 touchdowns, and that's not anything to look at and be like, oh my God,
Crazy.
good. But it's just an interesting fact.
Crazy thing about all this MVP talk is Lamar could go out and have a 4 or 5 touchdown performance again tomorrow, and we're still just coming out Monday.
I'll lock it up.
Talking about Lamar.
It's pretty much lock it up. Pretty much lock it up. Lamar's the only reason why Lamar's like up and down, like the thought is just because what Steelers Ravens mean for a game. Like he just could play bad. Like that's just that, and it's not because of anything other than like it's like a typhoon or something crazy. It's just like Steelers Ravens is not even a football game. It's just like their own section of game. So that's really it. Otherwise, Lamar's him.
Couple questions before we go. One, Tim, is that a Central Perk cup right there?
No,
I can't see it.
it is a.
Watkins.
It's a racetrack in New York. Yeah.
Just outed myself as someone who knows shit about Friends right there. But second question. Does anybody have any best bets, wisest wagers, whatever you want to call it? I know, Tim, what'd you pick last week? I know mine hit. I think I gave Lions money line and an all under for Chargers. Who the fuck did the Chargers play? I don't even remember. Titans, that's right. And I gave it at 44.5, and it barely hit at 44, but it hit. So
I gave just San Francisco money line was going to win the game. I actually put all of those together, and it was a winning bet. So.
Hell yeah! There you go. The WBP play right there.
Yep.
I like it.
So my question to you, like, what kind of bets are we doing? Are we just doing like plain
whatever
ones,
you want, whatever your wisest wager, whatever you want.
All right. Well, if I had a wisest wager, am I going player props too?
Whatever you want.
Okay. Jonathan Taylor over on rushing yards. I'd go Devon Achane 100 rushing receiving yards. Put that in the parlay, or you could keep that out and just do it single. But I would put those two for sure. I'd have Jonathan Taylor. I would have him close to 100, but you put that over on the rushing yards. I don't know exactly what it is right now, but whatever it is, I'm taking the over. It is his over is 81.5. He might have that in the first half. So I would take that for sure, and that's at obviously minus 113. And then I can go to what the Dolphins is in a second. If someone has anything else, they can say it out loud. It'll take me 2 seconds to find this.
I think Lamar Jackson, 40. You can get the alt line on his rushing yards, 40 rushing yards. He goes over 25 like every game. So I think this is a game that he's going to need to make some plays on the ground. So I like him at 40. It's minus 125. So not amazing odds, but I think it's going to lock.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It all also depends on too, like what I'll go on.
No, finish what you're going to say.
No, I was just saying it all depends kind of on that stuff too, like how much you put on it. Like, so for like the Devon Achane's 102.5 for his over rushing receiving, and then you got Jonathan Taylor at and then his 81.5. You put that together, that's plus 253. So you could be 25 to win $63 kind of thing. So it just really and those ones it just all depends on how much you put on it. Like if you were to put like $100 on it, then it's actually like you're winning $253 comparatively to if you're putting 10 on it, you're just winning like 20. But that's it.
Yeah, I got a couple that I like. I'm most confident in Broncos Falcons going under, so under 44.5. And if you pair that with, let's say, Dolphins to cover, because I don't see the Raiders competing with the Dolphins at all, that brings it to, oh, shit. I got a few different things in there. Hold up. Had some NBA plays already in the queue. So anyway, you go the under with Dolphins to cover by a touchdown. That brings it to plus 249. That's pretty good value for two things I definitely see happening. I don't see a shootout by any means in Falcons Denver. And then, again, I don't see Minshew and the boys. Though they do have a good defense, I don't see them competing with the Dolphins by any means. And then if you just want to take an underdog to cover, we kind of already said it, but Colts getting 3.5 at New York. I mean, unless the Jets really do have their best game in weeks here, I just don't see it. And the Colts actually have something to play for. And along now, I think the Browns actually earlier in the week were a 1.5 dog. Now they're 1.5 favorite. You can basically get even money for them on the money line too. So if you want to just take the Browns, parlay that, or just take it straight up. I like the Browns in their game, and I like the Colts in their game. So that's 3 to 4 for you, depending on how you play it.
I think I'd have to see what the odds are on this, but I think I'm going to be playing this tomorrow, interestingly enough. Steelers plus 3.5, Chiefs plus 3.5, Bengals plus 3.5. Just putting alternate spreads on them.
I'm gonna say even better. Tease all
games,
those up to like 8, and you probably make some good money on that.
It all depends on how much you want to put on it, but so that's something I'm thinking about doing possibly. Just all depends on how much I feel like putting on it. But I do have a quick question for you, Kyle, specifically. I don't know, Timmy, how much you watch UFC. This won't be out until afterwards, so people listening to this will really get Kyle's predictions post. But what do you think about the John Jones fight tonight? Do you think it's ends in submission, goes to a unanimous decision, split decision? What do you think about it tonight?
This is a really interesting matchup. There's a lot of layers to this matchup, actually. So Stipe Miocic, who John Jones is facing, people would consider as the heavyweight GOAT. All right. I really started watching UFC 2019. I started loosely following it. 2021 is when I really started to get into it. I saw Stipe fight Francis Ngannou. It was still at an empty Apex, I believe. And so right before they opened things back up, he got knocked out, hasn't fought since then. John Jones, since 2020, he's only fought once, and it was like a 2-minute fight with Cyril Gane last year. These two were supposed to fight in MSG.
How did that fight end?
John Jones by submission.
Yes.
Now, they were supposed to fight. This exact fight right now was supposed to happen last November. There's been since an interim heavyweight fight that Tom Aspinall won, and then he defended it, and they're treating it like it never happened. And this is for the true heavyweight matchup, or title, excuse me. And everybody is just assuming John Jones wins. Like, nobody's even talking about Stipe. And by all accounts, he's in shape. I would roll with John Jones anyway, but I do think it's going to be a more competitive fight. It's going to be weird. This is the weirdest card in quite a while, honestly. It's got some good fights. One fight actually just got pulled over an hour ago. That was on the main card, which was kind of a listless fight. It was 2 UFC vets, Chris Weidman, and Eric Anders. But you got Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler, which is going to be a banger. That's going to be the fight of the night, I believe. So John Jones by decision is what I'm going to roll with.
Okay. Unanimous, or do you think just...
Let's go split. Let's say it's going to be competitive. Let's go split decision.
Ooh.
John Jones.
Okay.
I could... It's so weird. Like, John Jones
Timmy,
is a
I don't know
heavy
how
favorite.
much you watch.
What's up?
Sorry, go on, Kyle.
No, what were you saying?
I was going to ask Timmy too, but you go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, John Jones is a heavy favorite, but I truly do not know what to expect because as I was telling you guys before, as everybody said about Mike Tyson, uh, power's the last thing to go. Blah blah blah. And Stipe really does have heavy hands. He's a bigger dude than John Jones, but John Jones, as you guys know, brother of Chandler and Arthur Jones, like he's got that NFL. Like he definitely could have played in the NFL if he wanted. Can't teach freak athleticism.
Yeah.
But I think overall people are overlooking Stipe. It would be just like the UFC, Keenan. Like this is just how shit goes in the UFC. It would be just like him or just like the UFC beat for Stipe to just win tonight and ruin everyone's plans of John Jones, Tom Aspinall, who John Jones is pretty openly ducking, and he's like a phenomenal athlete for his size, and it would be an amazing fight.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I really like, in my heart of hearts, I'm expecting things to just get weird tonight because everyone's expecting John Jones to roll through Stipe. But if you consider him the heavyweight GOAT, he's got to be able to compete, especially if he's in shape. But then again, it's been 3 full years for him. And John Jones, 2 minutes of octagon time in 4 years. So I really do not know what to expect. I would guess John Jones would win, but you really just never know with heavyweights. And because all it takes is one punch. He gets one clean shot on the chin, might be over for John Jones, who, by the way, has never lost in his career. So I don't know. I'm expecting craziness. And then the co-main with Oliveira and Chandler, like I was saying, that first fight was insane. So that one's for sure going to be a banger. And who knows? Chandler might still face McGregor next year. That's all up in the air, but weird card all around. Just a weird card.
Okay. Timmy, what do you think?
I think it's fun doing these because I don't necessarily follow UFC. I know some of the fighters. I've watched cards before. John Jones is definitely a guy I've watched before. But when you get me to make these predictions, a lot of the times I'm right. Like I picked the Dodgers in 5. That was great. So I'm gonna roll with John Jones by TKO. I think he's gonna land one, and they're gonna break it up and they're gonna call it.
Damn.
Ooh.
That's a prediction.
I hope you're right because that makes it more fun. I truly hope you are right because that makes it more fun. I got John Jones in a unanimous. I think that he does enough on the ground to kind of win multiple rounds, and then through rounds 4 and 5, he's kind of just doing enough to kind of get a W. But I do think that we got John Jones in a unanimous decision. I think 3rd round gonna get a little murky, and I think that a little murky on both sides. I think John might land one and then almost get to a point where he's gonna get him on a knockout, but get along the cage, figure it out, and get out of the round. But that's what I would say on my loosely watched UFC prediction. But I was interested to hear what Kyle's thoughts were. But unless anybody has any other takes, any other thoughts, we can let Kyle get to these prelims right now because Kyle loves himself some UFC, so he can get all of it that he wants to. This was the Warner Brothers podcast, and if you're seeing this and you're hearing this, then you know it made it past the technical difficulty stage, which we're happy about. Of course, Kyle, Timmy, Keenan, we referenced that episode that's going to be lost in the sauce forever. But hope you guys enjoy a great NFL Sunday because it's going to be great. You've got marquee matchups at every single time slot, and it could have been Monday too, but unfortunately the Dallas Cowboys not their year. But Warner Brothers Podcast, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all Warner Brothers Podcast. We appreciate all of you guys. We'll be talking with you guys very soon.